Family didn't invite me to Christmas because it's no place for losers. My brother said I calmly agreed and stopped funding his kids and wife. Now he's begging. My name's Baylor, and for 32 years I've been the family ATM, not the favorite son. Not the success story they brag about at dinner parties. Just the reliable one who pays the bills when everyone else comes up short. My younger brother Trevor has always been the golden child, the one with the charm and the big dreams. While I've been the one working double shifts to make sure his dreams don't turn into nightmares. It all started when we were kids. Trevor was the athlete, popular one kid who could talk his way out of trouble with a smile and a joke. I was the quiet one who got good grades, worked part-time jobs in high school, and somehow always ended up covering for Trevor's mistakes. When he crashed Dad's car at 17, I gave him my summer job savings to help with the deductible. When he needed money for college applications, I worked extra shifts at the grocery store. Became a pattern that followed us into adulthood. After college, Trevor married his high school sweetheart, Jessica. And they had 2 kids, Emma and Jake, beautiful kids, smart as whips. And I loved them like they were my own. Trevor bounced from job to job, always chasing the next big opportunity. The next get-rich-quick scheme. Jessica worked part-time as a dental hygienist with 2 kids, and Trevor's inconsistent income. They struggled constantly. That's where I came in. Uncle Baylor, the guy who never missed a birthday, never forgot Christmas presents, and somehow always had money when the lights were about to get shut off. I worked as an IT manager for a mid-sized company, made decent money, lived modestly in a 1-bedroom apartment, directed most of my extra income toward keeping Trevor's family afloat. The list of things I'd paid for over the years was staggering. Emma is dance classes, Jake's soccer league fees, emergency car repairs when Trevor's transmission died, groceries, when the cupboards were bare, the deposit on their apartment when they got evicted from the previous one. I calculated once that over 10 years I'd given them close to $80,000. Not loans, mind you, gifts, because family helps family, right? My parents, Patricia and Robert, lived comfortably on Dad's pension and Mom's part-time job at the local library. They weren't rich, but they weren't struggling either. They had helped Trevor occasionally with small amounts. But somehow the big emergencies always fell to me. Baylor is so responsible, Mom would say he doesn't mind helping out his brother. Except, I was starting to mind a lot. The breaking point began building 3 months before Christmas. Trevor called me on a Tuesday evening. His voice tight with stress. "Baylor man, I need a favor." I was sitting in my apartment, eating leftover takeout and watching Netflix after a 12-hour day debugging server issues. "What's up?" "Jessica's hours got cut at work. And Jake needs this special equipment for his football team. It's expensive. But if he doesn't have it, he can't play. How important this is to him." Jake was 11 and decent at football, but he wasn't exactly heading for the NFL. Still, I cared about the kid. "How much are we talking?" $500 for the gear, plus I need to cover the team fees. "So maybe $800 total." Eyesight. "Trevor, I just covered your rent last month." I know, and I'm grateful. This is different. It's for Jake. You wouldn't want him to miss out because his dad's going through a rough patch, right? The guilt trip. Classic Trevor. I transferred the money the next day. 2 weeks later, I was scrolling through Facebook during my lunch break, when I saw photos from Jessica's girls' night out, expensive-looking restaurant cocktails, her and 3 friends posing with plates of food that probably cost more than I spent on groceries in a week. The photos were posted the same day. I'd sent the money for Jake's football gear when Trevor called the following month asking for help with their car insurance payment. I asked about the girls' night that Jessica needed to blow off some steam. Work's been stressing her out with money I sent for Jake's football. "Baylor, come on. We're juggling a lot here. Sometimes we have to borrow from one thing to pay for another. It all evens out." That became Trevor's catchphrase whenever I questioned how my money was being spent. When I saw photos of his new fishing rod and tackle box on Instagram, after I'd covered their electric bill, when Jessica posted pictures of her fresh highlights and manicure dried, paid for Emma's school supplies, it all evens out. The pattern was so established that Trevor barely pretended anymore. He'd call, explain the crisis, name the amount needed, and expect the money to appear in his account within 24 hours. And like an idiot, I kept sending it. What made it worse was how I was treated at family gatherings. Trevor was always the center of attention, regaling everyone with stories about his latest business venture or the kids' achievements. I'd sit on the sidelines nodding politely, while he took credit for providing opportunities I'd actually paid for. "Jake's doing so well in football. Tell relatives, we invested in getting him the right equipment and it's really paying off. Emma's dance recital was beautiful. We're so proud of her. The lessons are expensive, but it's worth it to see her shine. We invested. We are proud. Never a mention of Uncle Baylor, who made it all possible. During Thanksgiving dinner 2 months before the Christmas incident, Trevor announced his latest entrepreneurial venture. I'm starting a landscaping business, he said, gesturing with his fork. Going to be my own boss, set my own hours. I've got it all figured out. That sounds wonderful. Honey, Mom said, beaming. You've always been so creative. I'd heard variations of this speech, dozens of times. Food truck business that lasted 3 weeks, the online retail store that never sold anything, personal training certification he got, but never used. Each one was going to be the thing that finally made him rich and independent. The startup costs are pretty steep though, Trevor continued, glancing in my direction. Need to get a truck. Equipment, insurance, probably looking at $15,000-20,000 to get it off the ground properly. Table went quiet. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, waiting for me to offer to bankroll Trevor's latest dream. Instead, I cut into my turkey and said, sounds like you'll need to save up or get a business loan. Trevor's face fell. Banks are pretty strict about lending to new businesses. For good reason, I said. Most small businesses fail within the first year. The tension at the table was thick enough to cut with a knife. Jessica shot me a look that could have frozen water. Mom cleared her throat and changed the subject to Emma's upcoming dance recital. After dinner, Trevor cornered me in the kitchen while I was helping with dishes. What was that about? He asked, his voice low and angry. What? The business loan comment you've always helped before. I sat down the plate. I was drying and turned to face him. Trevor, I've given you thousands of dollars over the years. Maybe it's time you figured out how to stand on your own. Stand on my own. His voice rose. Easy for you to say, you don't have kids. You don't have responsibilities. I don't have kids, because I've been supporting yours. The words hung in the air between us. Trevor's face flushed red. Nobody asked you to do that. You literally ask me every month. That's different. That's emergencies. This is my future we're talking about. I dried my hands on the dish towel and headed for the door. Your future isn't my responsibility, Trevor? That conversation marked the beginning of the end. Though I didn't know it at the time. Trevor stopped calling as frequently. And when he did, there was a coldness in his voice that hadn't been there before. Jessica unfriended me on Facebook. Kids still hugged me when they saw me. But there was an awkwardness that hadn't existed before. 3 weeks before Christmas, I got a call from Mom. Baylor, honey. We need to talk about Christmas dinner. I was at my desk at work, trying to solve a network issue that had been plaguing us for days. What about it? Well, Trevor and Jessica think it might be better if we kept it small this year. Just immediate family. I blinked, not understanding. I am immediate family. Mom sighed. You know what I mean? Trevor and Jessica and the kids. They're feeling a little stressed about money right now. And having someone there, well, who they owe money to, it might make things uncomfortable. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Are you uninviting me to Christmas? It's not that we don't want you there, Mom said quickly. It's just that Trevor thinks it would be awkward. And how he gets when he's stressed. How he gets when he's stressed. Mom, I've been keeping his family fed and housed for 10 years, and we appreciate that, sweetheart. But maybe this year you could do your own thing. Visit friends. Take a vacation. I sat in my office chair, staring at the computer screen, trying to process what I was hearing. My own mother was disinviting me from Christmas, because my financial support made my brother uncomfortable. Let me get this straight, I said slowly. Trevor owes me thousands of dollars, hasn't paid back a cent. Now I'm banned from Christmas because my presence might remind him of that fact. Taylor, please don't make this harder than it has to be. I hung up without saying goodbye. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Trevor, look man, I heard Mom talk to you. Yeah, she did. Nothing personal. It's just that Jessica has been really stressed about the money situation. Having you, there would make it weird for everyone. Weird for everyone, or weird for you. Come on, don't be like that. How these family things go. It's supposed to be relaxed, fun. We can't relax. If we're worried about you, judging us, or keeping track of what we owe you. I laughed a bitter sound. I've never once asked you to pay me back, Trevor. Not once, I know, but it's implied, isn't it? Every time you look at us, we can see you calculating what we cost you. Maybe because you do cost me a lot. See? That's exactly what I'm talking about. This attitude. Christmas is supposed to be about family, not about money, right? Apparently there's no place for losers like me at the family table. The line went quiet. I could hear Trevor breathing, could picture him trying to figure out how to respond. I never said you were a loser. You didn't have to. I hung up and sat in my office, staring out the window at the December sky. Company holiday party decorations sparkled around me, but I felt empty. 10 years. I'd prioritized Trevor's family over my own life, my own future, my own happiness. In return, I'd been labeled a burden. Someone whose presence would ruin their Christmas. That evening, I made a decision that would change everything. I opened my laptop and started going through my financial records, automatic payments, bank transfers, then mode transactions. Over the past year alone, I'd sent Trevor and Jessica $12,400 for their rent. Their car payment, kids' activities, emergency expenses that seemed to pop up every month like clockwork. I canceled every automatic payment. The ones for Emma's dance classes, the ones for Jake's sports fees, the monthly contribution to their grocery budget, that Trevor had convinced me to set up because it's easier to budget when we know we can count on it. Gone all of it. Then I called my bank and put a block on any future transfers to Trevor's account without my explicit approval for each transaction. By the time I was done, I had severed every financial tie that bound me to Trevor's family. It felt strange, like cutting strings that had controlled me for a decade, but it also felt liberating. I didn't tell anyone what I'd done. I just went to work the next day, came home to my quiet apartment for the first time in years. Didn't check my phone obsessively to see if Trevor needed money for some new crisis. Christmas came and went. I spent it alone, which should have been depressing, but actually felt peaceful. Cooked myself a nice dinner. Watched movies and didn't think about what Trevor's family was doing without me. I didn't send presents. I didn't call. I simply let Christmas happen without me. First crack in Trevor's perfect little family Christmas came on December 28th. Jessica called me. Baylor. It's Jessica. I was surprised to hear from her. We hadn't spoken directly in months. Hi Jessica. Listen. I know things have been weird lately, but we have a problem. Emma's dance studio is threatening to drop her from classes. If we don't pay the balance by January 2nd, I know you usually handle that, but the payment didn't go through this month. I canceled the automatic payments. Silence on the other end of the line. You what? I canceled all the automatic payments. I won't be covering Emma's dance classes anymore. But Baylor? She's been in this program for 3 years. She's finally getting good parts in the recitals. You can't just I can. And I did. Trevor made it clear that there's no place for losers like me and your family. So I'm not part of your family anymore, which means your family expenses aren't my problem. Baylor, that's not. Trevor didn't mean it like that. How did he mean it? Jessica? She stumbled over her words, trying to find a way to explain away what couldn't be explained away. He was just stressed how he gets. I know exactly how he gets. And I know exactly what he meant. Emma's dance classes are your responsibility now. We can't afford them without your help. Then I guess Emma will have to find a more affordable hobby. I hung up feeling bad for Emma, but resolved to stick to my decision. 5 minutes later, Trevor called. What the hell, Baylor? Jessica is crying because you're cutting off Emma's dance classes. I'm cutting off everything, Trevor. All of it. You wanted a Christmas without the loser brother. Congratulations. You get a life without the loser brother too. Come on, man. You're being petty. We didn't invite you to one Christmas dinner. Big deal, get over it. It's not about one dinner, Trevor. It's about 10 years of being treated like an ATM instead of a brother. We don't treat you like an me laughed. When's the last time you called me just to talk? When's the last time you asked how I was doing? When's the last time we hung out without you needing money for something? Silence. That's what I thought. Baylor, listen. I'm sorry about the Christmas thing. We can do New Year's instead. Big family dinner just like always with me paying for the groceries, if you want to contribute. No, Trevor. I'm done contributing to anything. Your rent, your car payment, your kids' activities, your wife's girls' nights. You can't be serious, dead serious. Figure it out yourself. The next few weeks were blissfully quiet. No emergency calls about past due bills. No last-minute request for grocery money. No guilt trips about letting down the kids. For the first time in a decade, my bank account grew instead of shrank every month. I used the money I would have given Trevor to finally take that vacation I'd been putting off for years. I booked a week in Costa Rica, something I dreamed about but never done. because there was always some family crisis that required my funds instead, while I was lying on a beach in Tamarinda sipping a cold beer and watching the sunset. My phone buzzed with increasingly desperate messages from Trevor Baylor. Call me. We need to talk. Dude, the mortgage company is threatening foreclosure. I need help. Baylor, please. The kids are asking why you haven't called. I read each message, felt a familiar pang of guilt, and then deleted them without responding. This was Trevor's test. Could he handle his own life without his big brother's financial safety net? The answer apparently was no. I came back from Costa Rica to find 23 missed calls from various family members. Mom, Dad, Trevor, Jessica. Even Jessica's mother had called to tell me I needed to step up and help my brother. The first call I returned was to Mom, Baylor. Thank goodness. Trevor has been trying to reach you for weeks. I know I was on vacation while your brother's family is falling apart. My brother's family fell apart the day they decided I wasn't good enough to join them for Christmas. That's ancient history. Now, sweetheart, whoever needs your help. They're behind on everything. The mortgage, the car payments, the kids' school fees. They might lose the house. Then maybe Trevor should get a job that pays enough to support his family. He has a job part-time at a sporting goods store, Mom. That's not a career. That's something teenagers do after school. You can't just abandon them. I'm not abandoning them. I'm setting boundaries. There's a difference. Mom sighed dramatically. I don't understand what's gotten into you. What's gotten into me is self-respect. Something I should have developed years ago. The conversation with Dad went similarly, except he tried the disappointed father approach. I raised you better than this. Baylor family takes care of family. I've been taking care of this family for 10 years, Dad. Where were you when Trevor needed help? We helped when we could. You helped with $50 here and there. I was sending thousands because you make more money. I make more money because I worked for it. I got an education, found a good job, and lived below my means. Trevor chose to coast on my generosity instead of building a career. He's trying. He's 30 years old, Dad. How long is he going to keep trying before he actually succeeds at something? Dad didn't have an answer for that. The most heartbreaking call came from Emma. She was 12 now, old enough to understand that something had changed, but not old enough to understand why. Uncle Baylor. It's Emma. Her voice was small, uncertain. It broke my heart. Hi, sweetheart. How are you? I'm okay, I guess. Mom says I can't do dance anymore because it's too expensive. And Daddy's been really sad lately. Closed my eyes, feeling the weight of her disappointment. I'm sorry to hear that. Emma, are you mad at us? The innocent question hit me like a truck. I'm not mad at you, Emma. Not at all. Then why don't you come over anymore? Jake misses you too. We used to play video games all the time. It's complicated, sweetheart. It's a grown-up problem between me and your dad. Can't you just say sorry to each other and make up? If only it were that simple. Maybe someday, Emma. After I hung up with Emma, I sat in my apartment, questioning whether I was doing the right thing. These kids didn't ask to be born into a family where their father couldn't provide for them. They didn't deserve to suffer because of the conflict between Trevor and me. But I also knew that if I caved now, nothing would change. Trevor would learn that he could treat me however he wanted, and I'd still be there to bail him out. Pattern would continue indefinitely. I had to stay strong. February brought a new wave of desperation from Trevor. He'd lost the part-time job at the sporting goods store for showing up late too often. Jessica was working extra shifts at the dental office, but it wasn't enough to cover their expenses without my monthly contributions. Trevor started showing up at my apartment building, waiting for me in the parking lot when I got home from work. Baylor, we need to talk. I saw him before he saw me and considered turning around and driving away. But that would just delay the inevitable conversation. What do you want? Trevor? I want my brother back. He looked terrible. He'd lost weight. Flows were wrinkled. There were dark circles under his eyes. For a moment, I felt sorry for him. I'm right here. No, you're not. You're angry and bitter. And you're taking it out on Jessica and the kids. I'm not taking anything out on anyone. I'm just not paying your bills anymore. Baylor, we're going to lose everything. The house, the cars, everything. Is that what you want? What I want is for you to take responsibility for your own life. I am taking responsibility. I'm looking for a better job. I'm trying to get the landscaping business off the ground with what money you couldn't afford to start the business when you had my financial support. How are you going to do it now? Trevor ran his hands through his hair. A gesture I remembered from childhood when he was frustrated. I need help, Baylor, just temporary, just until I get back on my feet. How many times have I heard that over the past 10 years? This time is different. This time is different because I'm not falling for it anymore. Trevor's expression hardened. What your problem is, you're bitter because I have a family and you're alone and you're jealous. So, you're trying to destroy what I've built. His words stung because there was a grain of truth in them. I was alone. I didn't have a wife or kids. I'd made those sacrifices to support his family. Why I don't have a family, Trevor? Every time I saved money to buy a house, take a woman on a nice vacation, or do anything to improve my own life, you had an emergency that required my savings. I put my life on hold for 10 years to support yours. Nobody asked you to do that. You asked me to do that. Every month, every crisis, every time you called crying about being broke. I never cried. You're crying. Now. Trevor wiped his eyes angrily. This isn't crying. This is frustration. This is consequences, Trevor. For the first time in your life, you're experiencing actual consequences for your choices. My choices. What about your choice to abandon your niece and nephew? The guilt trip? I've been waiting for it. I didn't abandon Emma and Jake. I stopped enabling their father. They don't understand the difference. Then, explain it to them. Tell them that Uncle Baylor isn't their personal ATM anymore. Trevor stood there for a moment, breathing heavily. Then he said the thing I knew was coming. If you don't help us, we're going to lose the house. Emma and Jake will have to change schools. Jessica might have to quit her job if we move too far away. You're going to destroy 2 innocent kids' lives because you're mad at me. I'm going to let you be responsible for your own family. Same thing. No, Trevor, it's not. He left after that, but I knew he'd be back. Foreclosure process takes months, and Trevor would spend every one of those months trying to guilt, manipulate, convince me to save him one more time. March brought the divorce papers. Jessica filed for divorce and moved back in with her parents, taking Emma and Jake with her. The official reason was irreconcilable differences. Everyone in the family knew the real reason. Trevor couldn't provide for his family without my financial support. The whole house of cards had collapsed. Trevor called me sobbing this time for real. Are you happy now? My wife left me, she took my kids. I'm going to lose the house. Everything's falling apart. I felt genuinely sorry for him. But I also knew that this collapse had been inevitable. I'd just been postponing it with regular infusions of cash. I'm not happy about any of this. Trevor then helped me fix it. I can't fix your marriage, can't fix your relationship with your kids. I can't fix the fact that you're 30 years old with no real job skills or career prospects. You could help me keep the house. If I can show Jessica that I've got the mortgage covered, maybe she'll come back with money. I give you just temporarily. No, Trevor, Jessica left because you can't support your family. If you get her back by using my money, what happens when I stop giving you money? She leaves again. I'll figure something out by then. You've been saying that for 10 years. After Trevor lost the house, he moved into a studio apartment across town. He got a job at a call center, something with regular hours and a steady if modest paycheck. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. Jessica and the kids stayed with her parents. The divorce proceedings were messy and expensive. With both sides hiring lawyers they couldn't afford. Through all of this, I maintained my boundaries. No emergency loans, no temporary assistance, no bailouts of any kind. It was hard, especially when I thought about Emma and Jake dealing with their parents' divorce. But I knew that caving now would just restart the cycle. Turning point came in June. I was having dinner at a restaurant downtown when I saw Trevor at a corner table. He was with a woman. I didn't recognize someone pretty and well-dressed who was laughing at something he'd said. For a moment I was angry. Here he was taking some woman out for an expensive dinner while claiming he was broke. Then I noticed something. Trevor looked different, healthier. He'd gained back the weight he'd lost. His clothes were clean and pressed. And there was something in his posture that I hadn't seen in years. Confidence. Our eyes met across the restaurant. He said something to the woman, then walked over to my table. Baylor. Trevor, can I sit down for a minute? I gestured to the empty chair across from me. He sat down and folded his hands on the table. I owe you an apology. I waited. Actually, I owe you a lot of apologies. And probably some money. We both know I can't pay that back right now. What's changed? Everything? Losing the house, losing Jessica and the kids, having to move into that crappy apartment and work at the call center. It was horrible, but it was also the best thing that ever happened to me. How so? Because for the first time in my adult life, I had to figure things out. For myself, no safety net. No big brother to call when things got tough. Just me and my problems. Trevor looked back at the woman at the corner table, who was patiently waiting for him to return. That's Sarah. She's an accountant. We met at work. She doesn't know about all the stuff with you, and the money, and everything she thinks. I'm just a normal guy who works at a call center and lives in a studio apartment. Isn't that what you are? Trevor smiled. First genuine smile I'd seen from him in years. It is. What? It's not so bad. The work is steady. Pay is decent. I'm not constantly stressed about money because I'm living within my means. What about Jessica and the kids? The divorce will be final next month. Jessica and I are doing better as CO parents than we ever did as spouses. Kids are adjusting. Emma is in a community center dance program that costs $20 a month instead of $200. Jake's playing in a community soccer league that's free. They're happy. Trevor reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. He counted out for 20 bills and placed them on the table. This is all I can afford right now. I want to start paying you back $80 a month until I've repaid everything I owe you. I looked at the money on the table. At $80 a month, it would take Trevor about 80 years to pay back what he owed me. Keep it, I said, pushing the bills back toward him. Take Sarah out for a nice dinner. Trevor's eyes filled with tears. Baylor. You don't owe me money, Trevor. You owe me an apology and respect. And maybe we could try being actual brothers instead of whatever dysfunctional relationship we had before. I'd like that. We shook hands across the table, and for the first time in months, felt like I had my brother back. The family slowly began to heal over the following months. Mom and Dad, who had initially blamed me for Trevor's downfall, gradually came to understand that I'd done him a favor by forcing him to stand on his own feet. Trevor's transformation from entitled mooch to responsible adult was impossible to ignore. Christmas that year was different. We had dinner at Mom and Dad's house, all of us together. But this time, Trevor brought a bottle of wine and a homemade dessert. He didn't ask for money. He didn't hint about financial problems. He just enjoyed being with his family. Emma and Jake were there too, shuttling between their parents' houses in the new normal of joint custody. They seemed happier than I'd seen them in years, probably because their parents weren't constantly fighting about money. Uncle Baylor, Emma said, as we were opening presents. Thank you for the dance shoes. I'd bought her a pair of ballet slippers for her community center classes. They weren't expensive, but she acted like they were made of gold. You're welcome, sweetheart. Daddy says you helped him become a better person. Is that true? I looked at Trevor, who was helping Jake assemble a new Lego set. Your daddy helped himself become a better person. I just stopped making it so easy for him to avoid growing up. I don't understand. You will when you're older. As I drove home that night, I reflected on the past year. It had been hard, probably the hardest year of my adult life. There had been moments when I'd questioned whether I was doing the right thing. Moments when I'd nearly caved and sent money to ease some crisis or another. But seeing Trevor now genuinely happy and self-sufficient for the first time in his adult life, I knew I'd made the right choice. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is refuse to enable their weaknesses. My phone buzzed with a text from Trevor. Thanks for dinner tonight, and thanks for everything else. Love you, bro. I smiled and typed back. Love you too. See you next week for Jake's soccer game. It was a small thing, making plans to see each other that didn't involve money or emergencies. But after 10 years of being treated like an ATM felt revolutionary. I'd finally gotten my brother back. And more importantly, I'd gotten myself back. The best part about setting boundaries wasn't just that it forced Trevor to grow up. It was that it freed me to start living my own life with an extra $1,000 a month staying in my account. Instead of flowing to Trevor's family, I was able to make down payment on a house, start dating seriously for the first time in years, and even begin planning for my own future instead of constantly managing someone else's crisis. Sometimes being a good brother means saying no. It took me 32 years to learn that lesson, but better late than never.